morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Welcome to another episode of Roll Around Find Out. In today's episode, super excited to have Cole Wilkinson on for an interview. He's the author of Along the Leyline, the latest system that I've been currently gushing over. He's an incredibly nice and creative person. I genuinely enjoyed getting to talk with him. We go over why he started writing it, how he's pretty much a one-man show, and the nuts and bolts of the mechanics of Along the Leyline. These include the awesome reaction system and the incredibly elegant magic system. I'm very appreciative of Cole giving up over an hour of his time on a weeknight to make this interview happen. I'll post in the description links to all of Cole's information, so make sure to check that out. Without further ado, Cole Wilkinson, author of Along the Leyline, super awesome, super cool dude. Welcome to the show, Cole Wilkinson of Piranha Squirrel Productions.
Yeah.
Famed author of Along the Leyline. Welcome to Roll Around Find Out.
I am super excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Awesome. Well, I sent you a list of questions ahead. I don't know if...
Yep, I've taken a look at those.
All right.
Yeah. I might have to reference them if we wanted to go through them set by set, but otherwise, I could just talk. I've actually made some notes.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you lead then.
Okay. Well, let me just take a peek at the questions because I want to remember what you asked. So you asked how I got started in RPGs. So I had to actually go back and look at when I started designing this game, but I got started a few years in 2016, 17. I can't remember the exact year. My friend was like, "Hey, Cole, you're nerdy. You want to play in D&D?" And I was like, yes, I do. Because I had heard about that stuff. I'd actually read up on it and made a character, but then didn't know where to go with it in 2014. And so I kind of left it. And then he invited me to this campaign and we played through it and it was awesome. It was an epic campaign. He based it off of some Brandon Sanderson books and we got these special things that went into our characters and gave us extra powers and stuff. And I played a turtle named Yam, who who was a common language learner. So he didn't know common very well. So he was always not really good at communicating. And he was a rogue. Obviously, I was playing a Ninja Turtle. It was great. So, so we had a good time. But then through playing that game, I was like, oh man, I wish combat was faster. And nothing on the GM. He was great. And nothing on the sessions because it was my first time and it was wonderful. But I just felt hey, we could change stuff up. I don't know if it's natural for everybody to feel this way, but I definitely did. And so in the back of my mind, I was thinking, how do we do this different? And I kind of do that for everything. If I see, art or something I like, the people that I like, I'm how do I do that? How could I do that too? And so that's sort of what led me down this journey. And so in 2018, I started to really think about how I would go about making a new system and what I would do to change it. And in 2020, I started really writing it down, seriously. Obviously, a lot of crazy stuff happened in 2020. You had a lot of time on your hands to do things. And then between then, I ran 2 campaigns of D&D, D&D 5e. And so I kind of got to know the system a little bit better and got to know what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. And then in 2022, I started playtesting with some of the friends I had from that second campaign and playtesting this system along the Leyline, and it had a lot of different changes happen throughout the year. I ran a couple of one-shots with it before that, and a lot of changes happened between those one-shots, crazy changes. I know you mentioned in your last podcast about having a +1 system. It actually started that way, where there was step dice, and then there was a +1, and then it just was clunky, and it didn't really work that well. So by having, well, I guess I should kind of explain this mechanic for the listeners. is like when you do anything in the game, you just roll one die and that's it. And then everything, like the goal of the system is like everything goes off of that one die roll. And so there's very little that you have to crunch, because when you're playing role playing games, you're the computer, right? There's nobody to do the crunch for you. You have to do all the crunch. And so if you're trying to think about what is my character going to do, and then you have like five other steps of what I got to do to figure out how this resolves, there's just too much. So I wanted it to be really, really small, like crunch for you, but still have like lots of things that you could do. And so with step dice, as the dice go up, your probabilities change. And so if you start at D4, like your chance of failure is pretty high. But then if you go to D6, right, there's more numbers on the die. So there's more chances of success and so on and so forth. So you don't have to do any crunch other than picking the right die to roll. And if you mess that up, you just roll the right die the next time. So so it
Sure.
makes it a lot like faster as far as like solving things. Another thing that, I didn't like when I was playing D&D is like all the players were rolling and they looked like they're having fun rolling the dice. And as the DM, I was like, oh, well, I want to roll the dice too. When do I get to roll the dice? So I made it opposed so that, when the monsters attacked or other things happened, I would roll a dice and they would roll the dice. Who got the higher die? Well, then the obvious question is, well, what happens if they're the same, right? If they tie? And so in my system, I made it like the time slows down and you have to like look at what's happening. Like if you're, let's say, swinging at the orc and the orc blocks and you reach a tie, then the swords clash together and you describe how you're like struggling in that like wonderful, fantasy like power struggle of the two clashing swords together. And then you both roll a d20 and whoever gets the higher one, well, then they win and they get like an epic push the other guy down, slash them, epic stuff can happen. Or if that ties again, then they're just like locked in blades. And that's all they can do is just be struggling with each other. Everybody else is like battling around them. So that was kind of like what I really liked about my system, about how it works. And I did want to address, like you said, why not? Could you have plus ones? I could say, yeah, you can have plus ones if you really want to, but if you're going to do that, make it like an epic level magic item, because what you're essentially doing is removing any chance of failure, because
Mm.
you fail most of the time on a 1, 2, or a 3. And so if and so every dice has that 1, 2, and a 3. On a 3 though, you're going to roll the opposed die. So there still is a chance of success. So on a 1 or a 2, you always fail. So if you get a +1 on everything, that means now you only have one time that you could fail on anything, like at all. And so that's just really like next level, like magic that you can do, like never
Sure.
fail. Like imagine that. But you could do it. Now that would be a huge MacGuffin for whatever game you were going to be playing in. Like we got to go after this magic item. And everybody would want that, because who doesn't want to like never fail? That would be amazing.
It would have to be ultimately a cursed item.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay, explain that to me. Why would it have to be cursed? I feel like you got some
It,
good ideas there.
it's so powerful. It's like the One Ring. It will give you power, but it will corrupt you over time.
Mm, yeah. Oh,
I mean, the One Ring is a MacGuffin of sorts, I guess. So along those lines, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And imagine if you had a +2 magic item. That would just be
Oh,
even,
can't
you know,
imagine.
you'd have your like three little like, the elf rings, they get the +1, and then Sauron's ring gets the +2. Oh my gosh.
Dang.
That
Yeah.
would
See,
be,
my small monkey brain just thought I want to roll higher, so give me a +1. But that's the inherent of the step dice.
yeah. Yeah. Now with my system though, you can get multiple instances of advantage. And that's what the players should be looking to do. Like if they aid each other, they get advantage. They have different like feats that they can do to get advantage. So you could be getting like 3 or 4 instances of advantage and be rolling like a whole pool of dice and just picking the highest one. And I haven't had players really like lean into that and try to do that a lot, because they kind of all want to do their own thing. And my players are really smart and they like figure out ways to outwit me all the time. So I feel like they don't even need it. But you can set it up that failure is really, really a small chance if you think about it, which is how it should be in real life, right? Like if you're setting things up, your chance of failure goes down as you're preparing.
Right. I To your point about clunky, with D&D, I mean, it progresses, your stats increase, your proficiency bonus increases,
Yeah.
but then, yeah, you gotta be a math wizard, your roll plus your stat plus your proficiency plus your weapon, and, uh, yes, I can add 1 plus 1 plus 3, but that slows the whole game down.
Right. And then you're doing that all night. And if you're tired at the end of the night or you've had a few drinks, things happen and you not might not be thinking super clearly at the end of the night and you add things wrong and that could be the difference between you winning and losing against the dragon. That would be awful. But
Well, I guess if your character, is, a drunk, maybe you're just embracing it in real life.
hey, you know what? I'm not going to tell you how to role play. Go for it.
Awesome. Um, Certainly we can come back to the creation of it, but um, I'm interested in the software process, the design process. What is it? A Google Doc, Microsoft Word, Publisher?
Sure. Yeah. So I started everything in Google Docs because I didn't actually have a word processing program, and Google Docs is free. So thanks, Google, for that. And then I moved everything to Canva because Canva teachers get stuff for free. So I could use it for free being a teacher. And so I built everything out there in Canva and then just sort of exported it from there. And right now I'm in the process of getting a hard copy version of it so that I could release it as a hard copy. But I
Oh,
needed a different program for that. I actually have a proof of it. Yay. Drive through RPG. It's
sneak
coming.
peek.
Yeah, sneak peek. It's coming. But then I found lots of typos, so I have to fix those too. So it's going to be a while. But
A, a lady I work with showed me this binding machine we have, so I've got it all ready to rock.
what? That's so sweet. Oh my goodness, it makes my heart happy. People are reading it and playing it and yeah, at least, looking through it and get good ideas. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Canva, I don't use it in my class, but other teachers I know do because students talk about it all the time. So that's something I'll definitely look into.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And if you want to build like flyers or things for your classroom, it's pretty easy to use and manipulate. It's very user friendly. It does sort of runs on the cloud, so it can run slow if you don't have a fast internet connection, or you could run into problems of it just lagging to try to update. And so, but other than that, man, it's a pretty good system for
Sweet.
somebody for somebody who's starting, right? Like if you're gonna be doing professional level stuff, you probably want to, invest in like in design or affinity. So
Oh yeah, I've heard Infinity's probably the gold standard.
that's what I'm moving to
Okay.
get the published version, right? Drive through RPG asks to use like Infinity or InDesign, and so I've been moving it
Mm.
to Affinity, but that is just taking some time transition process. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't your full time job.
What? No, I wish I would do it full time.
Oh yeah. At the core of all of this podcast, everything, I just love being creative.
Mm.
And if nobody finds enjoyment in it, hey, it's for me. And I'm sure you find the same way. Like, hey, you get to learn new software, and that's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually like really learned how to draw and stuff just for this. Like all the drawings in the book are mine, which I know they're not wonderful drawings, but they do the job, right?
Better
So
than I could do, and sometimes simple is best. And I mean, you don't need to say a lot to say a lot,
mm,
right? You've got this thieving rogue with a torch going down the steps. You know he's going headed to danger.
by himself. That's it.
What kind of danger could it be? I don't know, but he's going to cut his head off.
Yeah, I was really proud of that one. I like that one a lot.
That's awesome. I mean, I don't want to blow too much smoke, but I'm jealous of you. You're amazing.
Oh, thanks.
um. All right. Go kind of bouncing around the list here. If D&D 5e was your gateway, anything else as a source of inspiration?
Oh yeah. So when I started writing, I didn't realize there were other game systems. I thought there was just like D&D. Like a super naive when I started like down this path of making my own RPG. And then I sort of like discovered that there were other stuff. I discovered Index Card RPG. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've heard of that one. But just sort of like the ethos of Runehammer and all of like his crazy thoughts and stuff. It's really great and ingrained into me, like where to find the fun was
Yeah.
really important for how I like sort of narrowed down the game. And I played one session of Pathfinder at a convention here at ReaperCon that was down here in Texas. It's like out of Denton, the Reaper store, those like little minis. So it's kind of like just really nice that they were really close. And I ran one there, and then I ran like a session the year prior. No, I didn't run it. I'm sorry. I was playing at it. I misspoke. I was playing in the game, and it was like Dungeon World or something. It was like Pathfinder taken to another system. I think it was the Dungeon World system, and they also had step dice. I didn't realize anybody else had step dice. I didn't know there were step dice. I thought I was being super clever and discovered this. No, no. They, that had been figured out a long time ago before I got into it.
Well, you got your own flavor on it, so it's
Yes.
all good.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. No bonuses. It's just straight up moving up the dice, and that's it. Yeah.
Anything other than Dungeon World?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I mean, I've heard a lot. I've listened to a lot of like podcasts about tabletop role playing games. I listen to a lot of like game design thoughts, different YouTubers or whatever, but I've not played in any of those games.
Mm.
Not really. I would love to play in those games, but like I'm busy running this game and making sure it's like the best it can be. So I don't think I'll DM those games or referee or GM or whatever you want to call it. But I'd be happy to play in one if anybody out there is offering.
Well, maybe we can work something out. We can do something
Yeah, I'm down.
perfect.
I'll run along the ley line for you, and you can run some other system for me.
Yeah, deal. You got a deal. Mark it
Mhm.
down. Awesome. From a just design perspective, if I had to pull one out of my stack here, I would recommend Knave.
Knave, yeah, heard of that.
One thing that there's lots of things I like about it, but in character creation, it's like you're done in like 3-4 minutes, and you roll on these tables and you let the die like build your character. And in D&D, it's okay, well, I'm a paladin and I'm proficient in these. Then I pick my weapons and my spells, and there's some of that to Knave, but it's classless. And I kind of skipped over the main part. It's classless, and your inventory determines your class. So if you want to be a magic user, you're carrying 5 spell books. If you want to be a barbarian, then you have to carry, your warhammer. But a warhammer is like 3 spaces in your inventory,
Oh,
so it
that's
limits.
okay. So you really have to do inventory management.
Yes.
All
Yep.
right. How many slots do you have in Knave? Is it
Uh,
5?
I want to say 10, but as like an average, but I think it is based on your strength stat. I think it's like base 5 plus your strength stat.
Okay. Now, do they have like the standard array like of D&D of your like strength and constitution? It's like all like that. Okay. Or is it like,
Uh,
because I know some systems like pare that down to do like 3.
Let me search it up because I forget. Knave character sheet. Uh, I th- this is just me being unprofessional.
No, it's all good.
Let's see. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So that's the 6, right?
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Standard array.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's not standard array, but whatever. That's what I'm calling it. That's what it's called now.
Standard array must be like the 15,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay.
It's the numbers,
Yeah.
not the stats.
Not the stats. Yep.
Yeah. But the standard D&D stats, which I thought about for a long time in like the really early versions of this. And I actually had like a whole this is not uncommon for people who are beginning to write their own system, like rename the special stats and put them in different places. I mean, D&D, we got to give it props. It did a really good job of selecting like 6 core attributes of humans and being able to explain a lot of different things they do from that core stats. Like, that's pretty good considering.
I mean, there's a reason why it's the most popular role playing game out there.
Right.
You know, a little bit of marketing, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's a great system. It was my first system, so I'm not going to like, poo poo on it or too much. But, I just wanted something different, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's totally fine. I want to say to everybody out there, if you want something different, like go out there and look for it. If you didn't find it, then make it. That's part of the fun. That's part of the hobby is making up our own systems and finding the things that we like and being able to tweak it and hack it and adjust it.
Uh, on Drive Through RPG, nothing I have is tested. It's just whatever I felt like making. I have a system based on Yahtzee.
What?
And you earn certain points if you have like 4 of a kind, a straight, and then you can cash in those points for essentially like feats.
Oh, nice. That's wild. I'm gonna have to look up that because I have a friend who just absolutely loves Yahtzee, and I'm gonna tell her about this and see, see what she thinks.
I was just playing with my 2 kids and like, yeah, you know what? How can I turn this into a role playing game or some role playing system?
Yeah.
And it's there.
So when you like go to do checks, you just like roll check. Is it 6 dice in Yahtzee or is it five?
5.
5d6.
Yep. Let me pull it up here. Are you exclusively Drive Through RPG?
Right now, yes, yeah.
Uh, maybe a year ago, probably going on almost a year, is when I made my publisher Drive Through RPG account. And do you know if you checked the box for like your sales? If you say you're exclusively Drive Through RPG,
Yeah.
you get more revenue.
Yeah, so I selected that one, like for the moment because I was thinking, oh, I'm not going to sell this anywhere else. I'm not going to like go into stores or, well, I looked at like itch.io, but they seem to be more like video gamey atmosphere, and so it seemed to me like drive through um, would be like something that would be more catered to just like the RPG community as a whole.
Yeah. If you heard a little ding, I sent you the link to it. And if you click on the full size preview, it's basically everything right there.
Oh, I lost it. It like popped up. Oh, is it in the comments? See, I don't know how to use this stuff. Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I see it here. Yeah, absolutely. This is cool. Paint dice, criteria found Yahtzee. Nice. I'm gonna play this with my son, Levi. I think he will love it. He's a big old nerd, just like I am. He's like a miniature version of me. He has read this system of mine like cover to cover, like 18 times. I'll say something. He's like, "No, Dad, that's not how it works." He knows it. He knows it so well. Oh man, it's been fun, yeah, to play it with him and stuff. Yeah.
is he listed on the playtesters page?
He is. He's Levi Wilkinson. Is
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's
we
there.
got we got Clay, we got Mary.
Yeah,
Nice.
a lot of family all there listed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. other things I want to talk about, but Cole, you are a genius with the reaction system. I love it because in D&D, you attack, you move, interact with object, and then you're done. And I'm sure there's more layers to it than that, but your reaction system to me when I read it initially was, whoa, I get to decide whether I want to do something on offense and defense. I can power up an attack, I can power up a spell, or I can save it if I know I'm at risk or whatever the reason, and I can block and I can dodge. Tell me the origins of that because it is amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was trying to think. You're sitting at the table when it's somebody else's turn, right? Like, or like the DM referee's going, and you're just like there waiting, and it could be like 10, 15 minutes for it to get back around you. It's like, oh, that's super boring, right? We need some way of being more interactive. And now, obviously, you can't always be active and always be doing something. You have to be a listener, and that's part of the game is listening to what other people doing. But I wanted there to be some more interaction. And so I also didn't want there to be like too many things that you could do. Like one of the problems of D&D with a bloat, it was like you'd have your action and then your bonus action and then all this, you had all of these things. And it really felt bad if you didn't have your optimized character that could do something for all of those things. Like I remember I played in a game and I didn't have anything to do on a bonus action, or all I could do was something on a bonus action. I couldn't use my action. And I would just be like stuck in some situations. And those were always like feel bad moments, right? Like I'm letting down my team. We can't help everybody. And everyone's like, oh, Cole's character, right? Or whatever. And so I didn't want that. But also, for the AC, if they had really big armor that would like always block them. And so I was thinking about how to deal with the armor as well. And I wanted there to be some more interactiveness. And then I was thinking about like somewhere I heard people talking about Dark Souls. I've never actually played the game. I'll be honest. I probably should at some point. But Dark Souls is all about like dodging and learning the attacks of the monsters and knowing when to dodge and when to block and do all these different things. And I was thinking, oh, wait, you could block or dodge. Like those are two like big old things that you can do for defense, and they're quite different. So if I had like a block skill and a dodge skill, then I could make it where you have the choice of how to defend. How do you want to defend? And that makes it a lot more interactive. Do I want to block? Do I want to dodge this? And then I thought, well, they got to be different. So how are they going to be different? Then I thought, well, we'll do blocking, damage mitigation, and dodging, just damage avoidance. And then, well, why not always do damage mitigation? So then I bumped up the step die for dodging to start with, so that you have something else to do. And then also you can fall prone, which gives you advantage on dodge always. So you can always do that and always have like a reasonably good way of getting out of the way. You had your like moment
Oh,
of
yeah, you said it. What was the difference between the two, but you just said it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have the difference. Otherwise, like what's the choice that I'm making here? So, and then some feats do stuff with dodging that are like really heavy dodge intensive. Um, I will say I made mithril shields, which let you block with the dodge skill. And I gave those to all my players. And then I realized, well, they only ever want to just dodge.
Mm.
And they're just dodging with their shields. And it was okay. But if you're going to play the system, referees out there, hey, just realize if you give them all mithril shields, all they're going to do is dodge.
Is that mithril shield in the magic item?
It should
Dot.
be it should be in the referee's toolkit.
Oh, okay.
And so one thing I should talk about too is one of the problems as a DM is I would want to hand out magic items and stuff, but I would never know like how much gold they're worth approximately, or like how do I organize this? I wanted them to like go to a town and be able to like find things in town, and there was never that. So what I did for along the ley line is I put all the items in stores. And then I have levels of stores so that your players can like level up the store, or they can go to like a bigger town, which would have a bigger store to find those special items that they need. So I think it's like the blacksmiths, like level 2 or 3. I think it's level 2, because level 2, they get like what I call quasi magic items, which have a constant effect. along the ley line, magic items can lose their magic for some, like at some point, because they're overpowered. And they're overpowered on purpose, because magic items should feel magical. They should feel epic and awesome. So you get like your regular die, and then you get an extra die called your resonance die, which is how you are able of like using magic. So whenever you attack with a magic item, you roll your attack die, which is either ranged or melee, and your resonance die. So you get 2 dice, which normally that doesn't happen, which is
But, but it's magic. It's
it's
magical.
magic. So you get to do magic stuff.
Yeah.
So I broke the rules. I said earlier everything has to have like 1 die, but we're breaking the rules for magic. Magic always breaks the rules because it's magic.
Right. Nobody really knows how it works.
Yeah, it just
Just
happens.
yeah. That's great. And I should say I have read through these, but in my small monkey brain, I mean, you are the master, and I forgot all about the magic dice.
Oh yeah, like I bet a lot of people will forget about that. Oh man, this is the thing. Like whenever you're making a document for other people to read, like I have all like the vision of what it is in my brain, and it's like, how do I get it out in a good way that you can see it? And I've been going back and looking through like my players to them. I'm like, I don't know if I explained that well enough. So I need to figure out some way of like getting a forum, because when you commented on a drive through, like I didn't get any notification. It was just
Mm.
like by luck that I went back and like actually looked at that page again. And then I saw, oh, somebody left me a comment. Why did I get noticed about this? So I need to like set up a Discord or something. And when I do, I'll let you know. Uh,
I am not a Reddit user, but I've done one other interview with an author, and he was a big Reddit guy, and that's how he kind of got the word out. He must have posted it in a subreddit of TTRPGs or something, and that's how he got his exposure.
okay. No, like, I mean, like where people can ask questions. Like,
Mm.
did he set that up and like through Reddit, just be like, hey, I'm the maker of this. Ask questions here.
Basically is what it was, but yeah, I kind of compared it to something that's not the same. With Discord, yeah, you can go back and forth and have discourse.
Yeah. Well, I'm on Reddit too, and I post stuff there to get the word out. I haven't blown up there, but yeah, it's a good site.
Care to share what our sales like? Have we over 100?
I don't think I've got over 100. I had it originally. You're gonna feel bad because you actually bought it, but I had originally posted it for free, just to kind of allow people to check it out. And then I realized, like, hey, no, I put a lot of work into this. I should kind of, you know, um, have people pay me. And so then I made a like quick start guide so that people could easily get into it and kind of know if it's for them or not. Um, while I'm talking to you, I'm like pulling up the sales report so I can give you like a number if you
Is
want to
the
know.
is the quick start free? I can't remember.
The quick start is free, and then there is also a free adventure about the bearded knights. The bearded knights, and you go like, yes, you would make a great bearded knight. By the way,
Thank you.
that is a rocking beard.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, you go and like bring them supplies, and then there's like this lady dwarf who teaches you kind of how to fight and kind of walks you through some of the mechanics. And then flying eyes show up, and you have to defeat the flying eyes. Like it's super basic, and there is like a way that you could kind of role play making your characters if you wanted to. I will be honest, I've never really kind of play tested that part of the adventure, but you could try it out and let me know. But it is free right now, so it also comes with little bitty paper minis that you can print out of the flying eyes, and you kind of fold them together, and then you have something for your table. Because I know a lot of people don't have minis, or they don't have like a way of getting minis really easily. So I wanted something, because I think this game works best. You can do it Theater of the Marne, like it works. I've done it, but it works a lot better as a tactical game. So there is printable battle maps and printable minis on those, and it's free. So why not?
You've got lots of accessories, I'll say, battle maps and things posted on your account, so People have to check that out for sure.
So to get back to you, I have 80 orders of Along the Ley Line, the player's tome, right now. And so it is in 3 different like core books. I don't know if you can call the expansion a core book or not. So I guess 2 core books. So if you want the player's tome, that's just like what the players need. And if you're going to be the referee, all you need is the referee's toolkit. And then if the players want more stuff, they can get the players expansion. And that has a lot of more species in it and a lot more backgrounds and some more spells. So it kind of breaks it up a little bit.
Are we gonna update that with those frogs you sent me?
I am actually planning the frogs to be their own little bitty mini supplement
Okay.
thing
All right.
with the adventure tied to it and spells.
Take my money. Take it.
So for the frogs, there's going to be this mad wizard who wants to turn the entire town into frogkin. And so you have to like either talk him out of it or stop him or get everybody to leave town. I don't know. Or just kind of go along with it and become a frogkin.
Hey, that's the beauty of role playing games.
Yeah.
Slight sideways tangent here. Are you a gamer? Are you play the video games?
I play a lot of Pokemon.
Oh,
I have small kids. I've played growing up as like a high schooler and early college guy. I played a lot of Halo, like
mm.
tons and tons of Halo. I played Kingdom Hearts. Loved those games, by the way, playing through them. I played some Final Fantasy. I played Final Fantasy 8 and 9, I think. The one with the guy with the monkey tail. I think that's 9.
9.
And then I played and beat 10, which 10 is, oh my goodness. 10 was great. Final Fantasy 10, highly recommended. I did not really enjoy 10 2. I couldn't I don't know, figure out the mechanics of it, but a lot of people said it's really good. I don't know. And then as far as like other long-term games, I played Skyrim and I played some Fallout, like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Um, and then I just recently watched those Netflix ones of Fallout. Have you seen those?
I am, I think, 5 episodes in, so I have to keep watching that. That's on my
Yeah.
list.
I mean, if you're a fan of Fallout, they do a really good job of the whole thing.
I know I never played Fallout, so knowing nothing about it, instantly like sucked into the world.
Yeah.
The oh, it's embarrassing. The Outer Dwellers
Yeah.
in the first episode when they break in, that got me hooked. That was amazing. First
Raiders.
episode's
Yeah.
great. Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders. Oh man, playing the video games, I played them for years, and then after watching the show, I was like, this is a horror genre, and it finally like clicked that it's horror, and then like everything else, I finally understood it. I was like, man, why do I always feel like I don't know anxious after playing this game? But I have to keep playing this anxiousness. I don't know. Yeah, they did a
That's
good
funny.
job.
I bring this up because my play group, one of my players doesn't want to play anymore, but my other one, he wanted to play Baldur's Gate 3.
Hmm.
And I haven't gamed in a long time, like Paper Mario with my kids and Mario Kart, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I used to play Final Fantasy VII, is my favorite game of all time, but not bearing the lead. Baldur's Gate 3, it's okay, but I hate that it is restricting. Like,
Mm.
one of my favorite parts of this hobby is you can literally do anything you want. And we have maybe 15 hours in Baldur's Gate. It's like, well, I want to go over there, but the path says I have to go this way. And I'm like, man, just video games have been soured by D&D and just the imagination that I want to have and experience at the table. But maybe I'm just a sourpuss and I need to suck it up and hey, this is a video game.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like strengths to video games and strengths to like live role playing, right? Like video games definitely can do all that super high math and crunch. And one thing they can do that I think is hard to do at the table is bring genuine surprise because they have like planning like for especially for like monsters, like when you're at least for Pokemon, like when your Pokemon evolves and like you haven't looked up what they're going to be, like what is it going to be, and it's like, oh, I have no idea, right? And there's like this epic moment, and that can happen too, especially like in video games when they do like that cut scenes. You're like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And you can have like these epic descriptions that's really hard to do at the table. But then, like, you have to follow this path, right? And you've got to, it's railroady, not in a bad way, just like you can't have all those big moments without the railroad, right? And so in D&D and role-playing games, it's a little bit easier to go off of the rails because we're the ones designing the world. So we just okay, if you're a player, stop listening. We just make it up as we go along, right? So, like, if you decide that you're going to go over here, we populate that town there and we make the NPCs and we make the stuff happen, or we move important pieces where they need to go so that we have a good game, right? And it's, maybe computers one day will get there, right? Like with this AI and stuff, but right now they're not. And you kind of have to have this more railroady stuff.
Yeah, DM advice. That was a click for me in my first campaign. I forget the exact example, but it was something like they needed to find a letter and I had placed it in the desk.
Mhm.
Well, they go into the room and they don't search the desk. Okay, so what? They can't advance the story, the plot line without it. So then you gotta just move it to a new room or a different spot. You got to be quick on your toes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have been in the practice of designing not events so much as locations, right? And just trying to like make the location and what's there. And oh man, it's been said so many times like online, if you need them to find that one clue, put it in 10 different places
Yeah.
and have like
Hmm.
five different things for them to see. So I don't really make a lot of like mysteries in my game when I play at the table. It's more just sort of like, here it is, and then like some threats are going to come and attack you. Like in my last game session, a giant two-headed dragon was approaching the town because they had made a angry an dragon lich, or like a dragonkin lich mad. And like this dragonkin lich's goal is to make the ultimate dragon, and they made him mad. So they sent a two-headed dragon after them to, take care of that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So not a
Is
whole
it?
lot of mystery there.
But you're right. You're tough. It's tough, and you had a really good perspective on the video game angle on it. My favorite system is Mothership, which is a horror space horror. Um, they have a whole thing, but think of it like a role playing game with like the original Alien movie,
Oh,
and um, they initially came out with this trifold pamphlet called "The Haunting of Ypsilon 14." And spoilers, the main creature was like buried in the middle of this mining or this asteroid that they're mining, and it's this. Uh, well, I guess it's invisible. It's kind of has like the predator powers. It's invisible.
oh,
And so you try to build tension, but to your point, like a video game where the cutscene and oh, what's happening? Maybe it's just me, but at my table, I can't just say, and the monster jumps out. You
yeah,
know,
it's like, uh,
you got to leave breadcrumbs, and in D&D, oh, okay, things happen. Roll initiative. You know, just I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
yeah, what you're saying is you have to like build up. Really, like if you want to have a good game, you have to have an understanding of narrative arcs and the building of tension, right? And where do we hit that crest, and be able to like read the room. And I'm making it sound like it's super hard, guys, but it's not. It's not that hard. Okay, you just have to like understand. that about 3/4 of the way through the night, you want something really big and important to happen. And up until then, you want to kind of lead the players along and have little things happen up until then. I should say, like before this monster crest the hill, they had a kid run through town and say, "There's a dragon, there's a dragon." Nobody was paying attention because it was just a little kid, right? Who he's playing, right? And then they saw on the other end of town, there was a giant tentacle monster. Yes, I did have like a plan of Godzilla and the giant tube monsters destroying the town happen. That didn't end up happening because of things the players did. We won't get into it, but but you have to lead the players up to that point. You can't just be like, and then Godzilla stomps on you, right? And game over, you lose, right? That's boring. That's no fun. You've got to have that story. You got to build up to it, and then you have to have the falling tension.
It is an art form for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, anybody can do it. And me personally, for my Dungeons and Dragons club, youngest grades are fifth graders, and I have a fifth grader running a table of 4 other kids, and he does it every other week for 2 hours.
Wow. So he's up for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Well, as a teacher, there's chit chat about, the day, whatever. Hey, get
Right.
off your Chromebook, stop playing cookie clicker. It's
Yeah, yeah. But
control
but a kid is running a table for 2 hours like every week or every other week?
every other. Yep.
Every other week. Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing like a 30-minute after school program. This is intense.
Yeah. 3 to 5.
Wow. Oh, and so what are some of like the struggles that your students have in this club when they're trying to like start playing a game or while they're playing it, where do they hit walls?
I noticed too late. I think I'm going on my 4th year, and with D&D 5th edition being at the time, my only knowledge base, these kids would come in and I say, okay, do you want to be a human, an elf, a dwarf, a half elf, dragonborn? Okay, what do you want your class to be? This, that. And they're just overwhelmed by choice.
Mm,
So, something I've got here, which was a big inspiration, Tricube Tales. It's basically the character sheet is uh, write down something you're good at, something you're bad at, and if you're good, you roll 3 dice. If you're bad, you roll 1 dice, d6s, and then everything else is 2. And so just real simple, no paladin, no sorcerer, wizard. You don't have to distinguish the difference. What do you want your character to be good at? And I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in one of my episodes, but I have a kid that showed up like maybe a month ago, 6th grade. I say, okay, you can be anything you want. You just write down what you're good at, what you're bad at. And he says, okay, I want to be bread.
that kid
And
is awesome, by the
he,
way.
yeah, shout out to Zane, 6th grade Zane. Um, and so he just like wrote down that he can regenerate. He just grows like more bread.
All
But
right.
his weakness is he can't swim because it'd be soggy bread. Can't get wet. Can't be in the rain. And that's probably my best joy of being a dungeon master is the hell am I going to do with this? But especially as a teacher, I can't say no. Let's
No.
let's do it. Let's rock. Let's make it work.
Yeah. I mean, oh gosh, it just makes me think of like the Candy Kingdom of Adventure Time. And you have like, have you seen Adventure Time and
That
the
is
the
on my
Cartoon
nerd.
Network show?
That is on my nerd list of things that I need to familiarize myself with.
Oh, your students are the target audience, right? Like middle schooler, middle school brain. Yeah, that is the whole show. It's great. Highly recommend. Candy Kingdom. If you want ideas of what can go wrong, Candy Kingdom episodes. I think it's like the first episode. There's like a zombie outbreak, and then they do it in like season 2 where they have like a bunch of problems. Yeah, I won't spoil it. I won't say anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is just for me, but on YouTube there was some meme compilation, and the only knowledge I have of Adventure Time is the main character. I think he's outside Candyland, or is that what it's called?
Candy Kingdom. Yeah.
Candy Kingdom, and he just says, "Hey kid," and he picks up this kid and like punts him over the wall, and that's the only thing I know about Adventure Time.
Yeah, that pretty much wraps up the whole thing. That style. Oh, there's so many. Oh, okay, you're just gonna have to go watch it, and then I'll talk with you about it. I don't want to spoil it.
Awesome. And then okay, to your point of giving players breadcrumbs and steps, we will talk the referee guide here. One great advice. I feel like you went above and beyond. You created a system, great rules, and then you're like, oh, by the way, here's this amazing resource for GMs. And if you listen to the episode, I talked about it. Downtime. I I'm not like an old boomer. I'm not original to the hobby, and it's just what is downtime? You go and you buy new supplies, and that's it. And I've got it pulled up here. All these activities. I'm just going on and on, but even
Yeah.
resting, like that's not a guarantee. Like you're gonna get full health. There's no full long rest, and you're good to go. You got to roll for it. You got to spend the time to rest and relax. And of all the things in the referee guide, this downtime is like this will be used in any system I run. This will be used. It's
Oh,
awesome.
awesome. That's good. Um, so the thought was whenever you have, okay, I don't know if you've experienced this at your table, but I definitely have at mine, where there's like some role players and then there's some like combat players, right? And that's sort of where they gravitate to. So when it gets to like the downtime and stuff in the city, you have the role players and they just kind of take over. And then the like action ones, they're not like doing anything. And that's not necessarily bad, but I wanted to kind of make it even for everybody so everybody felt like they had something to do and give a little bit more structure if you needed it, especially if you had one of those players that was just like dominating the table that you could do to like redirect people. So like I wanted to break it up into turns and to have downtimes be turns and have discrete things to do on downtime so that players could actually get things done and not necessarily like they had to take a bunch of time to do it. Just be like, hey, I'm gonna, train. And then they roll a die and okay, I got a tick because I trained. And that's good. They felt like they did something, they were active in the story, or they could do something more, elaborate. I want to go on a hunt to find this special magic item and see if I can find somebody to buy it from or to sell it to, right? Those are different things you can do. And so I try to break it down into discrete actions and gamify it a little bit more. Not necessarily that you have to play it gamified like that, but just to give it some structure if you needed it. And as far as like the healing goes, like an original D&D, like BX, I think it was just like 1 HP per day. Like if you rested the day, you got like back 1 health point, and that was like it. So like absolutely healing magic is super important in D&D, and healing magic is also important along the ley line, but I wanted to make it simple as well. So whenever you heal, it's always D10s. I don't know if you caught that, but it's always D10s whenever you heal anytime. And then whenever you regain mind, it's a D4. So it's always like super simple to remember. So whenever you're running the game, and like they have a healing potion, what is it? It's a D10. It's a mage's guard. They're trying to regain mind. It's a D4. So it's just like super simple to remember and keep going. Um, so if you rest, like if you sleep through the night, then you get a D10 and a D4. If you are like in a tavern or whatever, you get two of those. And then if you still aren't back to full health, then you have to like spend the day resting, which makes sense. If you've got like a broken leg, you're not going to just like get up the next day and be like, I'm good to go back into the dungeon, back to full health. Like, what are you talking about? You you almost died yesterday. Like you need to take a break. And even in like the fantasy world where there's like all kinds of crazy stuff, I wanted there to be a little bit more consequence of getting damaged and stuff to feel it. Like if nothing else, to add to that like um, story that you are now resting and healing. Like in my last game, they had to. Okay, I guess I will spoil it. They had to run away from the dragon because they lost to the two-headed dragon, just absolutely obliterated them. And so two of my players ran away. Right, so in actually my home game, my players each are playing two characters at the same time. which actually works really well in along the ley line. And players can actually have like really high synergies together. So that also works cool, like the characters can. So his two characters ran away, and then they had to spend like the next day just like watching out for danger and resting up, and that's all they did. Uh, and so it was really thematic to see like, hey, they're like really beat up, and they're trying just to scrape back, trying just to like not die, and so it was pretty cool.
I think this caters to both players that you're talking about. Roll the dice. You have a system. So if that's all they want to do is roll, hey, I rested, I rolled, let's move on. Or hey, I trained and I learned from uh, Legolas, just happened to be strolling through, and I paid him some money, so I instant learned it. And they can role play it as much or as little as they want.
Yeah, yeah. And they can push their luck too if they want it, because you can stay up longer and get another downtime activity that you want. So especially if you're trying to carouse, as I know you asked about this in your email. So in D&D, like the original BX one, you whenever you got money, it wasn't XP. You had to spend the money to get the
Hmm.
XP. So you had to like, okay, you found 1,000 gold pieces. If you can't cart it back to town and figure out a way to get it back to town and spend it, then it's useless, which makes perfect sense. In my game, I wanted it to be a little bit simpler. It's just like you found it, you got it. Like there's your XP, there's your gold, and I wanted it to be really simple for people. So it's like every 100 gold is 100 XP is a level. Like every time you get it. But then it's like you have this moments where you have a bunch of gold and you don't have anything to do with it, and it's like all I want to do is level up, right? Like all I want to do is get more power, more spells. How do I do that? And so I wanted to have a way to allow players to spend gold, not to get um, items, because maybe they have the best items. They don't need anything else, right? Or they can't buy it anyway. So allow them to spend the gold and get the experience. And which makes sense. If you're like carousing, if you're going like gambling or roughhousing, or like you're going to go, carousing doesn't have to be like all like sinful things and gambling and you can actually like carouse by giving away your money, like especially if you want to play like the ascetic kind of character or the priest that just like is giving it to the poor and giving it to the orphans, right? That which I've played characters like that in the past and wanted like a way like I my character would not spend the money on themselves. Right. They would give it all away because I'm trying to play like the super high noble character. Right. So I needed a way, a mechanic of not penalizing that. Right. And so by giving it away, you get experience, which allows you to level up, which kind of makes sense. If you're playing that like super pious character, then the deity is going to reward you for that in some way, give you more
Yeah.
powers or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Great point. Um, Another system that I love, Bare Bones Fantasy. Their leveling system is combat experience, of course, treasure, of course, but it's not bonds and ideals, but we'll call them that. And if you do something in the session that relates to your bond, your ideal, then you earn a point to of in the future level up. So yeah, exactly to your point. Hey, if your character would give it away, you level up in Bare Bones Fantasy, you earn a point, but just inherent in your system, you spent it, you're rewarded.
Yeah. Now that's only if you're carousing. If you're buying, if you're buying, if you're buying a sword for you, you don't get XP, right? You get the sword. So I should note that.
All
But
right.
to your point, as far as like in-game play and leveling up, I think that's super important. And so, actually, in along the ley line, if you roll the max on your die, you get a little tick every single time you roll it. And so, if you have a D4 for let's say like stealth, and you do a bunch of stealthing and get a bunch of D4, you max it out. Well, if you get 3 of those ticks, well, then that die becomes a D6 now, and it can happen entirely through play, which I think is really cool. And when I played it, people are like, "Oh yeah, I level up," or like, "I want to try to do this more so I can get better at it," which lines up with what happens in real life. You do it a bunch more, you get better at it.
Yeah, perfect. Um, and I love it's inherent in it, but you're gonna level up sooner when it's a D4 statistically, and then by the time you can become more and more of a professional, it's harder and harder to reach those levels. So with the step die D12, it's gonna take you a while.
Yeah, diminishing returns. And what's great is I didn't have to do anything for that. It was just I was just like, "Oh, this works so nice."
Couldn't remember the system, but along those lines, I know there's someone where it would be if you rolled a one, then you learn from your mistakes, then you advance that
Mm.
way. So it's like a failing forward mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it that way too. I will leave it to the referee to decide.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's what
both work.
yeah. I would say probably don't do both. Uh, yeah, probably don't do max and bottom. Pick one
Be too
for your
much.
table. And yeah, either unless you want to play like a hyper fast game. Um, so this game is just with the thought that you're going to play for like a semester, so like 3 or 4 months, and then like you're kind of done. Um, and I designed that because that's sort of been my experience. We played for about like a year, about like through the school year, and then I'm kind of like done, and we're like kind of reached the end of the story. And I know other people play like forever games where they're playing the same character for years and years and years and years. I get bored too fast. I want to play like while I'm playing still one character. Like while I was playing Yam, I had like three different other characters on the side. So that I was like, oh, I want to do this and this and this. So allowing for that to happen, which I haven't figured out a good retirement system. I need to work on that.
Oh,
So, like how do you get the because you should be rewarded for finishing out your character, but not too much. So I don't know.
I know somewhere I've read by the time you're ready to retire, you've got enough money, you open up your own shop. If you've found the dragon's hoard, then you've got your own castle, followers,
Yeah.
etc. That's probably all basic stuff.
Yeah. But like how do you transfer the stuff you have for this character to the next character? You know what I mean? Like do they get skills? Should they get items? Should they get nothing? And just like now you have this NPC that you go to and you just start fresh again?
Mhm.
It's like uh, and that's a bigger question than we can answer today, obviously, but it is an interesting thought exercise.
Yeah. I was thinking in my experience, my three campaigns have been in three completely different worlds.
Hmm.
So it wouldn't be possible that they interact. I mean, I guess you could.
Well, I
Oh,
look like plane jumping,
right.
like in Magic the Gathering, where they jumping from planes to planes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about that. Do you play Magic?
Oh, I have in the past. I played a lot actually, and I would do drafts when they had the first Ixalan and dinosaurs. I'm going to tell you,
Mm.
man, I love dinosaurs. I love those big, st- and then just like they eat you, you're gone. Sorry, they're too big for you. They're gonna chomp chomp. It's
Yeah,
over. Yeah,
awesome.
I love that set. I drafted that so much. Um, but I tried to get together I know Magic the Gathering people are going to hate me. A red deck where it's just burn. But I had my own little take on it. Uh, but it didn't do super well. It was all right, but it never really took off. Um, and then I played some Commander as well. Um, Obviously, with all those dinosaurs I had to do something with them from the drafts I made. I think it's Gashath is how it's pronounced. The
Oh, sure.
dinosaur, the dinosaur that when it attacks, however much damage it deals, you flip over dinosaurs from the top of your deck, and all the dinosaurs that are there you get. And I mathed it out so that you should get at least one every single time, or actually like two or three every single time. So it's ramp and dinosaurs. That's the deck. That's great.
I can't remember its name, but I have a mono green dinosaur deck. It costs 12 or 14 to get out, but that cost is reduced by the amount of power of creatures
Oh
that you
yeah,
have.
that dinosaur. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I forget. So you just play all these fatties and then drop it, and they're gonna kill. It's a 12/12, and dead right away. Well, I still have all these other creatures, so I'm just gonna recast it for like
yeah.
nothing.
Because
So
you still get the discount even on like the commander tax, right? So
yes, yep,
that's
yeah,
great. That's perfect.
awesome. Well, right around an hour. I've got two more questions.
Sure.
Um, I had it and then I lost it. Let's go with what's next.
Oh, this is where my list comes in that I've prepared.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, let's back it up. I found my other
yeah.
question.
Okay.
You had mentioned it. Any use of AI on this, and your thoughts on AI?
This book and all of the stuff that is on Drive Through RPG does not have any AI in it. I will say that for one version of it, I started using AI art, and then I kind of like looked into it more and like wasn't sure where they were pulling their sources from and if they were taking it from other artists. So I didn't feel super comfortable about like selling it, not knowing where they were sourcing their materials. I was having it create. Like, I don't know if you've seen like those medieval woodblock tile things.
Mm,
Have you seen those? Like, I don't know if you've seen that art. Where they, well, in medieval times, they would take a chunk of wood and they would carve out on the wood and they would stamp it down. And that's how basically they would do some early form of printing. And so I was having it mimic that style for
mm.
the art. But it did. And I figured, well, probably they're pulling from all the old stuff, but I don't know. So I wasn't sure. And I know the community is kind of like some feel like, yeah, use AI, some feel like don't. And I didn't want it to be a contentious thing. So I was like, well, I'll figure out how to draw. And that's where I figured out how to draw. Okay, enough, I guess. And that's that's where you get it. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. It's great.
So I spent my summer sitting out watching my kids play on the playground, and I had my little sketch thing going, and just drew and drew and drew and drew, and hopefully it's passable.
More than
Yeah.
passable.
All right. If I could be seen as it was AI, then if I could be mistaken for AI, I think we'll have succeeded in that endeavor. Um, but as to your point for like usefulness of AI and what it's good for, I think definitely for your home table, like if you're going to be building stuff out, go for it. Right. Like I don't think anybody's going to say don't do that. I would say be cautious if you're going to like sell it, just because you want to know where it's sourced from. Um, and I know like for generative AI, like as far as like chatbot GPT and stuff, that's a really great space to use for if you're stuck or if you need like a wall to talk back to you. It's really great at letting you think through processes. Um, but I find personally when I've used it, it just kind of spits back what I put in a lot of times. It'll change it and add a bunch of stuff to it, but it's not like wildly new ideas, right? Like if you talk to somebody else, they're going to give you like wildly different perspective, whereas Chatbot GPT is going to give you a variation on your own perspective. At least that's been my experience, and I haven't played with it for like a year or so. So I don't know if it's updated or changed since then.
Uh, I use 3.0 or 3.5, but they're pushing 4.0. And I was listening to some tech podcast, and yeah, it's where they get the stuff. They don't ask for permission. They take
Yeah.
whatever. And this blew my mind. Chat GPT 4 is running out of internet.
What?
It has scoured every date, like almost every database on the internet.
Huh.
Anything that it like, the World Wide Web, anything it can connect to, it's running out of information.
So it would then have that's kind of scary in a lot of ways, kind of like mind blowing in a lot of other ways. Um, well, it's just like a whole new frontier. It's new technology, and I think with any kind of new technology, you're going to have like a delayed like how do we use this? How do we optimize it? And then once we figure it out, how do we once it's optimized, it becomes like the norm. Like right now, we're having this conversation. I mean, we're in different states, and how wild is that? and
Yeah.
and how amazing is it? And people would have blown their minds in the 1920s to see if this happening, right? This was the stuff of science fiction. What's like right now? So it's wild. I don't have no idea where it's going to go, and that's I guess the exciting part of being alive.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, unless you want to add anything on top of it. What's next?
Oh, I have a million different ideas of where to go. So I need to, I think, put a poll up somewhere or ask people what would be the most useful thing, as far as like big. books and big things. Like I maybe want to do like a bestiary, like a monster book where it's just like descriptions of monsters. So I teach biology, so I'm very like ecology minded. What are the monsters doing? How are they thinking? How are they behaving? And I would like to do that for like a whole book. And because I talk about it from the perspective of the monster, I think that book could be useful in like any system if I do it right. That you wouldn't necessarily need the stat block because you would have like a description of how the monster behaves and like what are its strengths and how is it physically and biologically different. So that's one idea of where to go. Another one is like the setting that I've been playing in for several different campaigns. They've been in different places. It's called Aerolith, and there's a lot going on. It's like, do people even need another setting book with like flying islands and evil lich kings that are researching magic all over the place? And then there's also like ascended beings that are currently running a giant experiment on everybody in the whole world. I mean, do we need that, or do we have enough settings? Like that's I don't know. And then oh, you had something to say.
Oh, um, I- of all the RPG stuff I own maybe 2 setting books, and so yes, I will take it.
Okay. Yeah. And then another one is like an expanded spell book with
Oh,
I don't have a lot of reaction spells, so I think we need that. And also we need like ritual spells that do really big things. So all the stuff right now and along the ley line have been catered to doing stuff in combat and really quickly. There's a few long-term stuff like you can enchant things and make magic items, but like changing the entire world or changing like citywide effects or like year effects. So I have like some ideas about how to do that, and maybe codifying that into a rule book. And then one thing I will definitely be doing is continuing to make these short adventures like the Bearded Knights, which we talked about. And then there is Save the Dragon Turtles, which I've made. And then this one with the frogs, which will be called They Croak Every Night. Have you heard that joke?
I don't think so.
How many lives does a frog have?
How many lives?
Yeah, how many lives?
1.
Now they got a lot. They croak every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. It's a bad joke, but it's a great title.
Let me interrupt because
Sure.
again, the magic system, the component, the effect, where did that come from? That's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. So in D&D, right, you have like fireball, which is tells you the shape that it's in, and then it's fire. And then but it can only ever be fire unless you take like meta magic, I think. But I wanted like spells to be a lot more fluid and for you to have a lot more. It's like if I could make fire in a giant sphere, I should be able to know how to make it in a small sphere or like in a line or something, right? Or if I know how to make a line and I know fire and I know this other ice spell, I should be able to make ice in a line. So I wanted there to be a way of making those kinds of spells. So I figured out that you really have two parts of most spells. It's either the shape that it's taking or it is the effect, right? Those are the two pieces, and when you combine them you get like a full spell, right? So you could have like fire and then it takes up a line, or you could have fire taking up a sphere, or you could have both those being ice. You could have ice in a line or ice in a sphere and all of these different stuff. And then from there you could do some really crazy things like setting traps, magic traps,
Oh yeah.
or
Yep.
breaking bones, and like everybody's bones get broken, which is one of my players' favorite things to do to all the enemies. It's how they beat a dragon once like that. They just like broke its wings, and then it had to like be on the ground, and then everybody could attack it. So it was like, oh yeah, my players have come up with some great ways of defeating these dragons that I've thrown at them. They're really smart. Um, so did I answer your question? I don't know.
Yeah, I, I'm not joking. Every RPG needs that, needs this system. Here's what you want to do, and here's what you can do with it, and you get your chocolate and your peanut butter. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Now, I will say I had to compromise though, because for some things they were just super hard to figure out how to break apart like that. So that's where the complete spells come in,
Hmm.
where you get like these. But in order to have the complete spells, I made them like ridiculously powerful because you have to sacrifice getting those spell components. So you're sacrificing flexibility for power, right? For strength, and so there's that. And on the extreme end, I thought, the sorcerers who have like an inherent understanding of magic should be able to do whatever they want with magic. But then I'm like, well, if they could do whatever they want with magic, they could do whatever they want. So we need some kind of limitations. So in sorcery, I've limited it to a specific space. They could do whatever they want in this 1 by 1 meter space, and they could take another feat and upgrade it to 2 by 2 meter space, which actually is a lot of space if you think about it. And then I'm like, well, they could do whatever damage they want. Like, okay, yeah, well, we're going to limit it to the kind of die. And I played with that for a while. And the hard part was figuring out what stat they would use. And then one of my players told me, "Hey, we should have it be based on the different kinds of magic. You already have the magic here, and I'll just like describe what I want to do, and you'll tell me what kind of magic it is, and then I'll roll that stat." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, oh yeah, that works out really well."
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Elegant.
That's the goal. That's the goal of the whole system. Be as elegant as possible.
Let's see. We should change the back or one of these the mid crunch. I think you called it an
Yeah.
elegant.
Medium
Elegant.
elegant. Yes. That's a great idea. I will do that.
I know
Mid
it's a
crunch.
pain to change it and re-upload it.
Well, I've changed it so much since getting this proof copy that I have because there's something different whenever you see something on a screen or like hard copy. And I'll tell you, I printed out this whole thing, and I'm dyslexic, so I had to.
I honestly couldn't tell. It's great.
Woohoo! I did it. So, so I had to like really carefully read every word backwards to
Mm.
like, I don't know if this is a proofing technique. Fun fact: like, if you instead of reading it left to right, you read it right to left. No, I did that wrong. Instead of reading it right to left, you read left to right. No,
You
whatever.
had it.
You read it the opposite way, and that way you're not looking for understanding. You're just spell checking, and you can catch a lot more errors like that. Thank you, Miss Aiton. You're wonderful. All right. So shout out to my high school English teacher. I'm pretty
Perfect.
sure she was the one that taught me that. If it was another teacher, I apologize.
In ChatGPT 4, you can upload a document and then you could say, proofread this for me. It might put its like own slant on it and make suggestions. It's like you said, it's still wild, but I know it can do that.
I mean, I'm gonna have to look into that. That's is it worth it? Like,
Yeah, buy it for a month. Try it.
yeah. I mean, whenever I looked up how much it would cost to like proof it, it would be like $8,000 or something. Like,
Oh,
oh yeah, because they were doing like per word or something. I forgot. It was like way out of my price range. I'm like, I'm doing this on a teacher's salary.
big bucks.
Yes, I have so much money to spend on this. That's my budget. This is why I've done it all myself. So, um, which if a dyslexic person can do write their whole RPG, so can you guys. Like, go out there and make something interesting.
I mean, this is a lot of stuff. This is amazing bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Okay. I cut you off. What else great things you got down
Oh,
the pipeline?
did I talk about the short adventures and like mid-tier adventures already?
Yep.
Well, those are my thoughts about what to move forward with. I do want to do a Kickstarter at some point to get this like physical book in people's hands and to maybe add some more stuff to help me, come up with like the monster book, the bestiary, maybe the setting guide, the expanded spell book with Grimoire, um, to get more of those things out there to people. So that's my goal. I know that Kickstarter does stuff in like February, so that's sort of for like Zine Quest, where they really promote a lot of people who are doing indie RPGs like this. And so be on the lookout for that. I will definitely update you when I get to that right now, you and I know we're in this busy season of school. We're trying to like close things down. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to really mess with that and figure it out. But that's my goal this summer is to figure out how to do that, how to get this game into more people's hands. Because, you know, I want people to play it. I think there's some good stuff in here.
Tons of good stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. You're amazing. Anything else you got?
Um, Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's been awesome just getting to like talk about it. It was great to hear you talk about my game, just that you just found it. I'm super blown away that I got to be here tonight. Thanks.
You're the man.
We're gonna also have to play along the ley line later, and you're gonna be a frogkin, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you know which one you want to be? There's four. Did you look at it that
I,
much?
I did, but I don't remember the names. The whatever the first one was, I think that's the one that jumped out at me.
The poison dart frog,
Yeah,
who's like tiny, but then they're poisonous.
yeah.
Well, I don't even know how much that's going to come up in game. Like, how many times does a monster bite you? Probably a lot.
We'll
Anyway,
see.
yeah.
That's like poison frog. I mean, that's got perfect rogue written all over it.
Oh no, they're brightly colored.
Hey, you put a cloak on.
No, they're brightly colored.
Yeah, you're right. I probably can't put a cloak on because then my skin it needs to be
You got to breathe.
Yeah. Oh man, I got to put more
Now,
thought into it.
now, if you want to play a rogue, there's a leopard frog kin, and
Mm.
they have camouflage. That's part of their species because in real life, leopard frogs are really hard to spot because of their spots. Ah.
You're funny. Nice. I'll have to go back and triple check that. It's good stuff, and that it warmed the cockles of my heart. Hey, you like frog stuff, so I made this for you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I will definitely. You know what? I'll make this adventure. I'll finish it out, and then I'll contact you, and we'll play through it.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
All right.
Are your friends gonna join us? You have to reach out to him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
All right. Cole Wilkinson of Piranha Squirrel Productions, author of Along the Ley Line. You're awesome.
Thanks for having me. It's been awesome.
All right. We'll be in touch.